You've been lied to about personal boundaries. You've been taught a fundamentally flawed strategy, a strategy that makes you weaker, more reactive, and ultimately more controlled by the very people you're trying to manage. The modern world tells you to build walls, to learn scripts, to say no more often. And yet, you still feel drained. You still feel the pressure. Why? Because you're fighting the wrong war. The mentally strong, the 1%, who move through life with a deep, unshakable calm, understand a truth you haven't been told. Their boundaries are not external walls. They are an internal fortress. They are invisible, silent, and absolute. In this video, we are not going to rehash the same tired advice. We are going to dismantle the modern myth of boundaries and reveal the Stoic secret to true personal power. What is the single biggest boundary you struggle to enforce? Let me know in the comments below, and let's begin the real work. The modern man is caught in a psychological trap. On one side, there is the pressure to be accommodating, to be a team player, to be perpetually available. This path leads to resentment, burnout, and a slow erosion of the self. On the other side, there is the aggressive, chest-thumping caricature of strength, a man who uses force and intimidation to get his way. This is not strength. It is brittleness. It is a desperate performance born of insecurity. Both are prisons. This is compounded by the digital age. Your mind is under constant assault. Notifications, emails, social media demands. Each one is a small breach in your mental defenses. The result is a pervasive feeling of being overwhelmed and out of control. You are giving away your most valuable assets, your time, your attention, your emotional energy, for pennies. The problem isn't that you lack willpower. The problem is that your strategy is designed for a battle that was lost before it began. You're trying to guard 1,000 miles of fence when you should be guarding the citadel. On the great misconception, boundaries as external walls. Let's start by burning down the old structure. The common advice frames boundaries as a line you draw in the sand for other people, a wall you build to keep things out. This is a fundamentally defensive and reactive posture. It requires constant maintenance, constant vigilance, and constant conflict. Every time someone challenges your wall, you are forced to spend energy defending it. You have to justify, argue, defend, and explain. The mentally strong man understands this is a fool's errand. He knows that trying to control the actions and desires of others is the definition of insanity. It is a violation of the first and most important Stoic principle, the dichotomy of control. He focuses not on building external walls, but on fortifying his internal citadel. This changes the game completely. It moves from a position of defense to a position of absolute, unshakable internal power. The focus shifts from controlling others to mastering oneself. 2. Your inner citadel, the only territory you must defend. What is this inner citadel? Marcus Aurelius spoke of it constantly. It is the one and only thing you have absolute control over. It is your mind. Specifically, it is your faculty of reasoned choice, your proheresis. It is your ability to choose how you respond to events. It is your core principles, your values, your integrity, and your peace of mind. Everything else, your reputation, your job, other people's opinions, even your own body, is ultimately external to this core. They are preferred indifference. You can be thrown in jail, lose all your money, be insulted by everyone you know, but they cannot touch your inner citadel unless you allow them to. A true boundary in the Stoic sense is not about protecting your time or your energy. It is about protecting the sanctity of this inner space. It is the unwavering commitment to never surrender your reason or your virtue to external pressures. This is the only territory that matters. 3. The fatal flaw in modern advice. Modern therapy, for all its good intentions, often focuses on communication techniques and behavioural strategies for managing external relationships. Use I statements. Learn to say no without guilt. This advice operates on the surface level. It's like teaching a soldier how to patch up bullet holes in a wall. while ignoring the fact that the wall is made of cardboard. Stoicism goes to the source code. It understands that a boundary violation doesn't truly happen when someone makes an unreasonable request. The violation happens inside you at the moment you allow their request to disturb your inner peace or compromise your principles. The mentally strong man isn't strong because he has the perfect script to refuse his boss. He is strong because his boss's unreasonable demand is met with the calm, rational assessment of an impregnable mind. The external event is just data. The power lies in the internal processing of that data. Modern advice treats the symptom. Stoicism cures the disease. 4. The power of indifference, your secret weapon. This is one of the most misunderstood and powerful concepts in all of Stoic philosophy. When a Stoic says something is indifferent, he doesn't mean he doesn't care about it. It means that the thing itself has no power to harm his moral character or inner peace. Wealth, health, reputation, and the opinions of others are all preferred indifference. It is preferable to have them, but your well-being does not depend on them. Now apply this to boundaries. Someone's anger at your no? Indifferent. Their disappointment? Indifferent. Their attempt to guilt-trip you? Indifferent. These are external events. They are weather patterns outside your citadel. You may observe them, you may note their passing, but you do not allow them inside. The moment you internalize their emotional reaction, the moment you think, I must fix their disappointment, you have surrendered your power. You have allowed an external to breach the wall. The mentally strong understand that they are responsible for their actions, not for other people's reactions. 5. Boundary versus standard, the critical distinction. This is a crucial reframing that will change everything. A boundary is a line you try to impose on others. You will not speak to me that way. A standard is a line you draw for yourself. I do not engage in conversations that are disrespectful. Do you see the difference? One is an attempt to control another person, which is impossible. The other is a statement of your own conduct, which is entirely within your control. The weak man tries to enforce boundaries. He gets into arguments, he pleads, he tries to change the other person. The strong man simply upholds his standards. If someone is disrespectful, he does not argue. He calmly removes himself from the conversation. He does not police their behaviour. He curates his own environment. He doesn't build a wall to keep the mud out. He simply chooses to walk on higher ground. This is an offensive, not a defensive, strategy for life. It is about actively choosing your path, not constantly reacting to the paths of others. 6. The energy leak. Why people-pleasing is a form of self-harm. People-pleasing is not a kindness. It is a deeply dysfunctional strategy for managing your own fear. Fear of conflict, fear of rejection, fear of not being liked. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you create a tiny tear in your own integrity. And these tears add up. They become a massive energy leak that drains your vitality, your focus, and your self-respect. Think of your willpower as a finite resource, a battery. When you are constantly trying to anticipate and manage the emotional states of others, you are running a dozen resource-heavy applications in the background. It slows down your entire system. The Stoic understands that his primary duty is to keep his own mind in order. He cannot be a good father, a good partner, or a good leader if his own internal resources are depleted. Setting a standard and refusing to people-please is not selfish. It is the most fundamental act of self-preservation required to be of any real use to others. 7. The test of a true boundary. It requires no explanation. Have you ever noticed how people who are deeply secure in their decisions rarely feel the need to justify them? Their no is a complete sentence. This is the hallmark of a man operating from his inner citadel. The need to justify, argue, defend, or explain, the JADE framework, is a sign of weakness. It signals that your decision is contingent on the other person's approval. It invites negotiation. It says, my boundary is flexible if you can provide a good enough counterargument. The man with the standard, however, is not seeking approval. His decision is based on his own internal principles, which are not up for debate. If he decides not to attend an event, he might say, "Thank you for the invitation, but I won't be able to make it." That is all. There is no long story, no manufactured excuse. It is a calm, clean, and respectful statement of fact. This is not rudeness. It is clarity, and in the long run, clarity is a much greater kindness than ambiguous people-pleasing. 8. Forging the invisible wall. The role of daily self-discipline. The strength to maintain your inner citadel isn't born in the heat of a major confrontation. It is forged in the quiet, mundane moments of your daily life. It is built through small, repeated acts of self-mastery. Waking up to your alarm instead of hitting snooze. Doing the workout you committed to, even when you don't feel like it. Reading a book instead of scrolling mindlessly. Each of these small victories is a rep for your discipline muscle. Each one reinforces the fundamental message: I am in command of myself. When you have established this internal chain of command, dealing with external pressures becomes trivial. A man who cannot even command himself to get out of bed on time will never be able to command the respect of others. The invisible wall of your boundaries is mortared by the bricks of your daily disciplines. This is the deep work that most are unwilling to do. 9. The social contract you never signed. From a young age, we are subtly conditioned to believe we are responsible for the emotional well-being of those around us. Don't make your mother sad. Don't rock the boat. Just go along to get along. This is an unwritten social contract that serves the needs of the group, often at the expense of the individual's integrity. The Stoic takes a fire axe to this contract. He understands a radical truth. You are not responsible for other people's feelings. You are responsible for your actions. You are responsible for acting with virtue, justice, and rationality. If another person chooses to have a negative emotional reaction to your virtuous and rational actions, that is their choice. It is a product of their own judgments and perceptions, which are outside of your control. Liberating yourself from this imagined responsibility is like taking off a £100 backpack you never knew you were carrying. It frees you to act with authenticity and courage rather than constantly walking on eggshells. 10. The calm no, the ultimate display of power. Contrast two scenarios. In the first, a man is asked to do something he doesn't want to do. He becomes agitated, defensive. His no is loud, angry, and accompanied by a list of justifications. It is a messy, emotional explosion. This is weakness. It shows that the request has breached his citadel and thrown his inner state into chaos. In the second scenario, a man is met with the same request. He pauses. He considers it rationally against his principles and priorities. He then delivers a calm, firm, and unwavering no. There is no anger, no apology. It is as simple and immovable as a mountain. Which man has more power? The second one, of course. His response demonstrates that he is in complete control of his inner world. The external request was merely data to be processed. The calm no is one of the most powerful and respectable positions a man can take. It signals to the world that he is the sole governor of his own soul. 11. The magnetism of the self-contained man. There is a profound paradox at play. The more you try to please others and seek their validation, the less they respect you. Conversely, the man who is self-contained, who operates from his own internal value system, becomes intensely magnetic. Why? Because in a world of emotional chaos, he is a source of stability. He is predictable in his principles, but not in his reactions. People know where he stands because he stands on solid ground, not the shifting sands of public opinion. He is not swayed by drama, gossip, or emotional manipulation. This creates a powerful sense of trust and safety around him. People are drawn to this strength, even if they can't articulate why. They know on a subconscious level that this is a man whose word is his bond, because his word is first and foremost a bond with himself. He doesn't need your approval, and because of that, you are far more likely to give it freely. 12. The dichotomy of control in action. Let's make this practical. Your boss emails you at 7 p.m. on a Friday with an urgent request that will take your entire evening. The untrained mind immediately goes into a reactive state. Anger, how dare he? Anxiety, if I say no, will I get fired? Resentment, this always happens to me. The Stoic in training pauses. He applies the dichotomy of control. What is outside my control? The fact that my boss sent the email, my boss's expectations, the potential consequences at work. What is within my control? My reasoned response, my choice to protect my personal time, my commitment to my own well-being. From this place of clarity, he can make a rational decision. Perhaps he replies, I've received this and will address it first thing Monday morning. He is not angry or apologetic. He states his standard. He controls what he can control and releases the rest. This is not about being a difficult employee. It's about being a self-possessed professional. 13. Your attention is your most sacred asset. In the 21st century, the war for territory is no longer fought over land. It is fought over the 3 pounds of grey matter between your ears. It is a war for your attention. Every notification, every advertisement, every piece of outrage-bait content is an attempt to breach the walls of your inner citadel and seize control of your focus. A Stoic boundary, therefore, is not just about people. It is about information. It is the conscious, disciplined curation of what you allow into your mind. This means turning off non-essential notifications. It means scheduling time for deep work, free from distraction. It means choosing to read a book over scrolling through an endless feed of negativity. The man who cannot control his own attention will be controlled by those who can. Protecting your focus is the foundational boundary that makes all others possible. If your mind is constantly scattered and reactive, you will never have the clarity to uphold your standards in any area of life. 14. The myth of selfishness, a weapon of the weak. When you begin to implement these principles, you will inevitably be accused of being selfish. Understand this for what it is, a control tactic. It is the last resort of those who have benefited from your lack of boundaries. They are attempting to use social pressure and guilt to pull you back into the old pattern. The Stoic philosopher Heracles described our duties as a series of concentric circles, with the self at the very centre. Your first and foremost duty is to your own mind, your own character. Why? Because a man whose mind is in chaos, who is filled with resentment, and who has no integrity, is of no use to his family, his community, or the world. By keeping your own citadel in perfect order, you become a stronger, more reliable, and more virtuous presence in all your other circles of concern. True selfishness is not setting standards. It is being a weak, depleted, and resentful man who drains the energy of everyone around him because he has never learned to master himself. 15. Training your boundary muscle with small acts. You would not walk into a gym and attempt to lift 500 pounds on your first day. You would start with a manageable weight and build up over time. The same principle applies here. Do not start by trying to confront the most difficult person or situation in your life. Start small. Build your standard-setting muscle with low-stakes exercises. The next time a barista gets your order wrong, instead of just accepting it, calmly and politely ask for what you actually ordered. The next time you receive an invitation to an event you genuinely do not want to attend, decline it cleanly without a long, fabricated excuse. Thanks for thinking of me, but I won't be able to join. Notice the feeling of discomfort that arises. That is the feeling of growth. Sit with it. The more you practice these small acts of self-advocacy, the easier it will become to uphold your standards when the stakes are higher. 16. The ultimate boundary. Memento mori. Remember you must die. This is not a morbid obsession. It is the most powerful clarifying tool available to a human being. When you are faced with a demand, a drama, or an external pressure, hold it up against the reality of your own mortality. Ask yourself, Is this worth a finite moment of my life? Is this argument worth the precious, non-renewable resource of my time and attention? Is this person's manufactured crisis more important than my own purpose? 9 times out of 10, the answer will be a resounding, liberating no. Memento mori incinerates the trivial. It forces you to focus on what truly matters. It is the ultimate filter for your decisions and the ultimate reinforcement for your standards. A man who lives with the awareness of his own death is not easily distracted by the petty squabbles of the world. He has a mission, and his time is limited. 17. Boundaries with yourself. The decisive battle. The most formidable opponent you will ever face is not a demanding boss or a manipulative relative. It is your own lower nature. It is your impulse toward procrastination, your indulgence in cheap dopamine, your flashes of anger, your desire for comfort over growth. The boundaries you set with yourself are the most important ones. The commitment to finish the task you started, the rule not to check your phone for the first hour of the day, the standard to not engage in negative self-talk. If you cannot win this internal battle, you will never win the external one. Every time you hold the line against your own weakness, you strengthen the walls of your inner citadel. Mastering yourself is the prerequisite for any form of external strength. The world will always respect a man who has first conquered the undisciplined territories of his own mind. This is the war that truly matters. 18. The language of power. I don't versus I can't. Pay close attention to the language you use, both internally and externally. It has a profound impact on your psychology. When you say, I can't go out tonight, I have to work early, you are framing yourself as a victim of circumstance. Can't implies a lack of power, a restriction imposed upon you. It invites pity, or worse, a search for a solution from the other person. Now contrast that with, I don't go out on weeknights. This is a statement of identity. It is a declaration of a personal rule, a standard. I don't is a position of choice and power. It is not an excuse, it is a principle. I can't eat junk food is a statement of deprivation. I don't eat junk food is a statement of who you are. Make a conscious effort to eliminate I can't from your vocabulary when describing your own choices. Replace it with I don't. This subtle shift will fundamentally change how you perceive your own agency and how others perceive your resolve. 19. The filter, not the wall. Dynamic defense. A common fear is that strong boundaries will lead to isolation, that you will become a cold, distant hermit. This is a misunderstanding of the Stoic ideal. The inner citadel is not a prison cell that cuts you off from the world. Think of it less as an impenetrable brick wall and more as a sophisticated semi-permeable membrane. It is a filter. Its purpose is to intelligently filter out what is harmful to your soul. The drama, the manipulation, the negativity, the time-wasting trivialities. But it actively allows and even welcomes what is virtuous and beneficial. It allows for genuine connection, love, duty, learning, and collaboration. By keeping the harmful elements out, you create more space and energy for the good. You become a better friend, a better partner, a better man, because you are not constantly bogged down by the sludge. A strong standard doesn't isolate you, it purifies your connections. 20. The ultimate freedom. Living by your own rule. What is the end goal of all this? It is not to win more arguments, or to be seen as an alpha male. The goal is freedom. In Greek, eleutheria. It is the state of a man who lives according to his own rational nature, uncoerced by externals or his own irrational passions. When your boundaries are simply an external expression of your internal standards, you are no longer in a state of reaction. You are no longer resentful. You are no longer anxious about the demands of others. You are free. You are free to allocate your time, your energy, and your attention to the things that you have rationally determined to be important. You are the master of your own soul. This is the profound peace and power that the mentally strong understand. It is not about controlling the world. It is about the unshakable knowledge that the world cannot and will not control you. This is the prize. And it is available to any man willing to do the work. So, the secret truth is this. You have been focusing on building fences when you should have been forging a fortress. The mentally strong don't have better boundaries. They have a stronger core. They understand that true power is not an external tactic you deploy, but an internal state of being you cultivate. It is the quiet, unshakable result of self-discipline, self-awareness, and a ruthless commitment to your own rational principles. This framework is now yours. The blueprints for the inner citadel are in your hands. The choice to pick up the tools and begin the construction is yours, and yours alone. To become a source of order in a world of chaos. To be the man whose presence alone is a declaration of strength. Thank you for investing your most valuable asset, your time with us. If this understanding resonates with the man you aim to be, subscribe and join this tribe of thinkers and builders. What is the first small standard you will set for yourself, starting today? Declare it in the comments below. Make it real.